Good evening, folks. Chris, good evening. How are you, mate?
Too bad, Mr. Quigley and yourself, sir.
Aye, not too bad,
Welcome to 2022 with a bang, sir.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you all.
And to yourself and all our listeners, obviously a huge Happy New Year, and let's hope it's a good one.
Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Right, welcome, folks, to Ulster Rugby Roundup show, part of the Threebod Rugby Group. Tonight we're going to discuss signings, extended contracts. We're going to touch on the few games that we have had in the last few weeks, which have not been many, 2. Look ahead to the Munster game, Ireland Internationals, and we will be talking to Gregor GALWAY on some mixed ability rugby. Tonight's show is brought to you by Hellbent and Knacko Biltong. That's the official stuff out of the road. Funny enough, I was actually selling Boer Wars on the URC banter page the other day.
Lovely. I can't believe it. We sell it for a fast on our page.
Well, they were asking about food in stadiums, and there must be some pretty terrible stadiums out there looking at the posts, you know, because people were like, we're not going. I'll tell you what, get Knacko, get a Boer Wars burger with cheese and relish at the Kingspan. You will not be hungry.
I'll tell you what, though, Nigel, those Christmas series that Hellbent threw out were absolutely immense this year. Oh, some phenomenal flavors.
That's serious grub. It's serious grub.
Serious
grub. Right, mate, we'll start with contracts and signings. And I think the first one we have to mention is that Mr. Cooney is staying.
Do you know what? I don't think there's an unhappy man in the house whatsoever for that. It was met with absolute joy across the province and further. It's great news. There was huge rumours flying around that he may not have been re-signing. The rumours were coming out very, very strong from many sources. And I think there has been a post since, I can't remember where it came from, it might have been the Belltel, regarding Bordeaux Begley. Now, whether that is the future, I don't know. But he was very, very close to going to Bordeaux. I think that was the really biggest rumour going around.
No, I don't think there's an Ulster fan will complain that he's staying, absolutely. And I'm delighted he's staying because the guy, he drives the engine room of, hello, Will, there's John. He drives the engine room of what Ulster do, doesn't he? I mean, don't get me wrong. We've got a superb future with young Doki coming on board and playing. I mean, he's showing amazing form for somebody so young. And I really do look forward to where he's going to go to. He's definitely the 9 in waiting, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think by signing Cooney for at least another year, and I think the rumour is that it is a year, seems to be what seems to be bandied around. But that'll give Nathan a huge opportunity to develop those. I think from what we're getting is that Cooney and Doak have got a really strong relationship, both on and off the park, in the training paddock, and if that's the case, Nathan will come on massively. And we sort of look along the succession route behind that with Lewis Finlay, and it won't just be Nathan. I think he'll come through with a successor, and I would hope it's someone like of Lewis Finlay's calibre. But going back to John Cooney signing for another year, he's obviously got a sheer love for the province, and he's kind of rewarding us fans for what we've thrown at him over the last couple of years, which is unbounded support.
I think to say John became a fan favourite very quick is not an understatement.
Well, he came on the back foot, didn't he? He was coming in under those massive big boots to fill, and it didn't take him long to show that he was happy to step into Ruan's shadow and pretty much man up to the spot. So, he took it with absolute gusto, and the debate, the Irish call-up debate, will go on and rage on forever and a day. But ultimately, it was a superb to see his name being re-signed, no question.
I see what Stephen's put up there about Cooney deserve it and about Irish contracts. I don't know, Stephen. I don't know what else the lad would have to do to get into a green shirt. And actually with Conor Murray re-extending his contract, I honestly, personally believe that puts Doak back a season or two as well, because people are going, he should be in the squad now. I don't think he will be, if I'm honest with you. I just don't think he will.
And I actually think
he's a raw talent. He can exercise what he wants to do on the pitch at the moment, and I honestly think leave him alone. Let's see what he can do with that raw talent. We're starting to see it. It's fantastic. I don't want him taken to an Irish camp and a lot of that trained out of him. Let's see what he can deliver now, because he's just turned 20 and his performances have been superb so far. So brilliant.
And going back to Johnny Wobbe's comment just there, I absolutely agree with Johnny that, Cooney's non-Irish call-up is definitely a blessing for Ulster, and what is ultimately their loss is definitely our gain, especially during the Six Nations. It looks very much as if we will be replaying those postponements, and if we have got Cooney at 9 running the show with Doak coming on the last 30 or vice versa, whichever way they want to play it, it can only be good for our little province, and we really hope that will come strong for us later on in the year anyway. But do you know what? I think every player at that level wants to play for their country. And clearly it's not going to happen for John, no matter what he does, no matter how polished his performance is. He's obviously weeding someone's tea down there in the Irish camp for whoever that is. And you know what? I think the fact we've got him for another year has shocked a lot of our supporters, because I think I think a lot of the contingent were consigned or resigned to the idea that he was going at the end of the season. And I think it was a massive, not just a coup for Ulster Rugby, but I think Bryn Cunningham and Johnny Petrie, I think they played their cards really smart, delaying the release of John Cooney and Will Addison's contract sign. I think that was very smart. There was loads of stuff coming out earlier in the month, and it was like, where's Cooney, where's Cooney, where's Cooney? Now, whether that was ongoing discussion or just a master play in terms of Happy New Year's fans, bang, have it. Either way, it was great. Well,
they're good with the announcements, aren't they? Addison, another one we think probably a year as well. Now, this lad, I love watching this lad play, but the reality is I think he's only played 24 games for Ulster, I think, in his time here with injuries and stuff like that. I mean, the guy's injury woes have been well documented, and I mean, he's one of those lads that we didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck when it comes to injury.
Absolutely. And he actually, it was interesting, he joined at the same time as Billy Burns. They literally joined the province literally within days of each other. And Will Addison was one of those players that instantly took to the Ulster way of play. I mean, it's raw talent, unquestionable anyway. But he just hit the ground running, and he became a fan favourite on the first day out. And I'm not going to call out individual players, but not everyone has made that impact and that impression. And like I say, Will has been incredibly unlucky with injuries, and that has really hampered his opportunities in the Ireland shirt and everything else. But a phenomenal talent. It's just great to see him. And I hope that what you're saying about a year is vastly inaccurate, Mr. Quigley. I hope we're looking at a 2 to 3 year contract.
It's not to do with his. I think it's not to do with his. I hope it's more than a year as well. But it's not to do with his abilities. It's just to do with the fact that he spent a lot of time on the bench, a lot of time on the physio's bench. And I think even if it is only a year, it's only to see how he goes this year with injuries. And I mean, if he can get a good run of games together, and I think there's no doubt they'll sign him further if it is only a year. If it's a year, for me, it's only because of his injuries. It's not because of his ability. So,
absolutely not.
I hope we see a lot of them this next season. John Cooney as well.
The flip side of that, the caveat to that, is that if Will comes back to full Will Addison form and has a run of games, then we have got the Ethan McElroy, the wee Michael Lowry, and then the Will Addison / Jacob Stockdale debate regarding the 15 and where everybody goes. But that can really be good for the province.
It's a great debate to have, isn't it? Because there's one thing, we are pretty steeped in good quality in the back three. I mean, our back line is, I think, second to none in the league. Which brings me to another one who was very key for me, Stu Klosky.
Oh, great.
I mean, I honestly think an Ulster team without Stu McCluskey just does not have the same impetus and go forward. And he just hasn't eased off at all. I mean, it's just the same impact. I noticed he's got a couple of nice new offloads that he's been playing this season.
He's doing great, isn't he? Yeah. But I tell you what, they're talking about having an early return for Stu. So clearly, what he's doing on the ground at the minute is looking like he's getting back to his best. Now, hopefully, don't bring him back too early from that injury, and hopefully he does, bed back into the squad. But for me, would I play him against Munster this weekend? No, I wouldn't. Would I give him another week?
I don't think he's playing this weekend, mate. He was talking about maybe getting back for the Hino games, maybe
The Claremont
or the Dragons.
Yeah.
So I think we're talking a couple of weeks down the line.
If he's going to the Dragons, he will get a very warm reception from a whole load of South Wales Ulster Rugby, I can tell you. If we're allowed in the stadium. So at the minute, they're only allowing 50 people in a stadium. Okay? So in Wales, we're only allowed 50 in. I have actually cheekily asked Dragons Rugby, can we secure 50 tickets for the Dragons game?
You know the answer to that's going to be, don't you?
They come back with, we'll see what we can do.
Oh dear. So to me, those are, three key signings. You know, we've obviously signed some other people up. Can you answer something for me? Because I wasn't clear on this. Ben Moxon has got an upgraded contract until the end of the season. Has he signed beyond that?
There was nothing that says that. There is no concrete. There was nothing that was put out regarding an extension to Ben's contract. Now, I can't remember where he was for beyond this season, but what we know is he has had his contract upgraded because of his performances and the strength of his work. But I have no honest idea where that is beyond.
Well, I certainly hope that is all it is. They're maybe going to announce something for next season, or they may announce that out of season, actually. But
I sort of think it would be difficult to award him an enhanced contract and then not look to secure him going forward. I think that would be an unusual step. So it sort of would tend to lean towards the idea that he'll be here for a while yet.
I've made no secret of the fact to me he is McCluskey's heir in waiting.
Oh yeah,
I think he will be a 12. That lad, he's an absolute brick shite house. Excuse my French.
He's a big boy. We've had the pleasure of watching him in the academy games, the Ulster A's over here against Scarlets and Dragons and Ospreys and he just literally stood like a giant amongst those academy boys in that age group.
Is there anybody you're waiting to hear from yet that concerns you they haven't signed? Well,
I'll tell you what, having just read the news release that Dragons are really, really the likely contenders for Bradley Roberts. I think for me, given the Welsh link, we've probably lost Bradley. Anybody else that really, really springs to mind that hasn't?
One for me, Jack Mcgraw. Do you think we'll get him signed up again? So he seems to be back to fitness.
He is. But I don't know if Jack has actually really shown the strength of play he had when he was Lions and Leinster material. Since he came up here, I don't think he's ever shown the true Jack Mcgraw form that he has got. Now, whether that's just been, again, a distinct lack of game time and all those interruptions with injury and bits and pieces. And I would probably say the same wee bit about Jordy Murphy as well in that regard. That there's been glimpses of the brilliance, but it hasn't been week on week. And it's almost like they end up falling out of order or out of favour for a wee while. And then they turn on a great bit of gas. And then it's an injury. Do you know what? I would love to see Jack Mcgraw get another extension. But, with what we've got up front, I'm not saying we're top heavy by any stretch in the front row. But, there is some real talent that will invariably be keeping on it.
I think it's been injury with Jack. We know he had his back problems as well. And I saw a piece he wrote about that where he was saying how bad it was. And but it seems to have been resolved now, so it'll be very interesting to see how he goes the rest of the season, because he seems up for it. I've seen him coming back and playing. He's up for it. And as front rows go, we must be having them all back, because sure, we've loaned Gareth Milisanovic to Saracens for 2 months.
Yeah, and actually there was a real kick in the teeth with that, because Gareth has been struggling to get into the Ulster lineup, and he walked straight on the bench in game time on his first day out for Saris.
Well, I think that was out of necessity as well. I think.
Oh, absolutely. The Saris have been absolutely hammered in many ways, and so that kind of throws him in the limelight a wee bit. But it also shows he had a blistering performance when he came on, and he was so strong. And actually, he again has been one of those players that had the ability to turn it on and didn't immediately click in the same way as Will Addison did. But there is glimpses that Gareth should be and could be a regular feature for us.
Somebody put up there one about Stuart Moore.
I've been that.
Klosky for a couple of games. Obviously, we're probably going to be. Personally, I would go with Hume at 12 and Moore at 13. That probably is the way they'll go. Because Hume, he's a bit of a playmaker. Moore, he's a different centre to both of them, really, isn't he? He's a bit like he's lighter than Hume. Then Hume has to kind of try and assume the McCluskey role. But I think that's where we lose a bit of momentum because he's just not as big. There's just not many centres as big as Stu McCluskey in Northern Hemisphere rugby. But I think I like to see him at 13 because he is a second playmaker, and at 13 he can bring wingers and fullback into play.
Yeah, I mean, his little nickname of Smiling Assassin just about sums it up, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
He loves his game. He loves being in the park, but he just can't have those touches of magic that just release someone like Laurie or release the winger or bring Ethan into play. And just from one is often what looks like a lost cause, he can generate. And he has got that ability to sidestep and just turn the gas as well. He's a phenomenal player, but he is not a Stu McCluskey. I don't know if I'd rather see Humie and Moxham, and then later on at the last 60 or 55, bring Stuarty Moore in at 12 or 13 to just polish off that line in the end. Yeah.
Now, we'll not go through all the other extensions because we'll be here all night talking about extensions, but just we'll mention there's been one new signing. It seems quite exciting to me. Sean Rafael, who's been signed from Saracens. Ex-England under-20, has their current record for tackles made in the game at 39.
That was in the Worcester game, wasn't it? The Warriors.
It was. It was in the cup now, right enough. But apparently, he's a defensive beast. He's not the biggest. He's about 6 foot, isn't he? And quite a solid lad. But by all accounts, he comes with a good reputation. So
he does. And to scoop the Starry's young player of the year last year, he's obviously been very well looked upon. And if you look at the Saracens social media pages, there is nobody saying glad to see the back of him. Everyone's saying it's a shame we couldn't have kept him. And with it being Irish qualified, you just wonder how much influence is there if you hadn't bringing him across.
Absolutely.
And is that maybe going to be, again, we're back to the same thing of my God, our back row is now just getting incredibly strong, and you look at contests, but he is an out-and-out player in that position. And if you think back, was Chris Henry maybe the last one we had in that position who was naturally gifted? Was it? Wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah. I haven't said that though. I've got to say, one that surprised me is Marcus Ray. I think he's stepped up big time this season.
He has. And there was times last year, Nigel, where Marcus didn't look as if he was living up to the academy hype. But this year, he has definitely grabbed his opportunity and has shown us. I mean, it's Jacqueline. His technique of holding the man and ball off the ground is just, I'm not saying it's unorthodox, but there's not many as good at it. And he nails that ball, and that ball is not going anywhere except back to him as a penalty. He's very, very skillful.
We're going to bring Gregor in, Gregor GALWAY, who's going to be discussing mixed ability rugby with us in the show, but I want him sort of involved in the player because Gregor's hi Gregor.
All right.
Gregor's a massive Ulster fan too, and believe it or not, he does know a fair bit about these players that we talk about every week. But we're talking about Sean Rafael, Gregor, and I think he's quite an exciting looking player. Frankly, he's a very busy player. I mean, defensively, he's solid as be damned. And we are starting to look quite good in the back row department. Obviously, we've got the enforcer and Dwayne Vermeulen there for a season or two now. And I think he'll bring massive influence to that back row and to that pack. And you look at the house we've got, I don't think Geordie's far away from fitness now. I don't know what's happened. I haven't seen Matty Ray of late, so I don't know what the crack is with him. We've got Sean Reedy. We've got
Greg Jones.
Greg Jones has shown occasionally. Obviously, with Nick Timoney, who is just, I would think, nearly first name on a team sheet every week, at the minute. I assume some of these guys have knocks and bangs, etc., and maybe not fully fit. But we've never had that depth of back row, not that I can remember. Never. We've so many choices of back row now. We're not Leinster thick. But we're thicker than we've ever been, Connor put a question up there about Hume. And my answer to that, Connor, would be it depends who's playing with him. I think if you've got Klosky in the game, Klosky's the 12, and whoever plays with him is the 13, and that would be Hume or Moore. But I think if Moore starts, I would be tempted to put Hume at 12, just because he is the slightly bigger, bulkier player.
True.
He'd carry a bit more into contact. He's more likely to break a tackle, whereas Stuart Moore's more the guy will go round. He's a bit more like a ring rose type of player. He's more with the feet, go round the player, avoid the tackle, which Hume can do as well. But I think maybe it's just the way I see centre play. I like to see quite a big 12 with a more pacey 13 outside him. And yes, that was very funny. Dwayne Vermeulen.
It was great. I mean, there's also players, don't forget, it's easy to forget, we've got people like Luke Marshall still with the back. And once you bring Luke Marshall back, then you've got another big mix in terms of what goes on in that centre lineup. Because without doubt, Luke Marshall is probably in the same sort of echelons as Darren Cave in terms of organising defence. Luke Marshall is just immense at organising our back line defensively. And there's times I sort of think we could really do that.
And we've got Angus Curtis as well, of course.
Yeah.
Angus Curtis for centre as well. And
another great guy.
To me, Angus Curtis is very much in the mould of Luke Marshall. He's built
I agree with that.
Like him, he's a very Luke Marshall type of centre to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're diverting off. What do we do next? We want to do the mixed ability next.
I think we should.
I think we should. Gregor,
Yeah.
you play tag rugby. It's one of the tagger teams you play for,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been able to do much this season at all?
Being honest, I've done training.
Yeah. And are you getting plenty of people turning out for the training?
Yeah.
Still good, yeah.
Yeah, they're still coming up. Like,
I saw a post on. I'm trying to think where it was, and I saw it actually it was just today when I got home, and I think it was on the Ulster Rugby page, and somebody was complaining about the lack of support in their club, and I didn't actually hadn't time to look at it, but it kind of shocked me a little because mixed ability rugby has become a very big thing, and rightly so. We're an inclusive sport. We want to get as many people involved in as possible. So it's disappointing to see somebody put up there's not the support for mixed ability rugby, but that may have referred to their own club, of course. And it's up to clubs what they do individually. But I think this is a train that every club's got to get on board, because it's wonderful for me to see so many people of all abilities wanting to play our game at whatever level they can. And we always looked at, if you like, what we would call fully fit, able-bodied people. That's what it was like for them too, because not everybody could be an Ireland player. Somebody was only good enough for somebody's fifths or somebody's sixths or whatever, but they still wanted to play every weekend. And I see it exactly the same as mixed ability. People love the sport and they want to play it and want to be involved. So I must actually look for that, because I'd be interested to find out why that person felt that way and what club it was and what was behind it. But I think it's the first time I've actually seen somebody complain about that, I feel like. What about the other clubs, Gregor? I mean, I know you're in touch with quite a few of the Tiger teams. I mean, are the numbers staying up? Because I know COVID is affecting everything, obviously.
I don't know. I'm being honest. I'm not being in contact with a few of those because, I don't being honest. We care about them, but I don't know. I keep up to date with their clubs, and Ballymena are doing a tour of Ireland virtual as they did last year. So each team, there's 4 teams. It's a good idea.
Fantastic! Yeah.
But, I don't know about the others though.
Yeah, or look back to the days. Look forward to the days. I remember you putting a lot of pictures up one time. Do you remember of some of the? They're almost like carnivals of rugby. You guys do. They're brilliant. All the teams go play. They look fantastic, fun, and just be wonderful to get back to those, wouldn't it? Where people can start enjoying the game again. Now we should say 4 provinces. Conor Broomfield's group.
Yep, it is.
Actually, Gregor, you explain. Well, speak of the devil, there has to be a bloody answer on in there somewhere, doesn't there? Speak of the devil, there has to be a bloody answer on in there somewhere, doesn't there? Connor, can you turn off the Facebook feed?
Evening, gents.
Lots of feedback.
Yeah, turn off
I know. Sorry. Just give me a second. Cancel me there for a second, guys. I know. Sorry.
So, Gregor, very quickly before we get distracted, Gregor, do you know if there's any way that we could raise the profile of mixed ability rugby?
Cancel me there.
What do you think? What would need to happen to make mixed ability rugby widely available to anybody that is interested? What's your sort of take on that?
Okay. Get it in the paper, social media, get the clubs promoting it if they have any teams. I read an article, Rugby Times, Rugby World yesterday. It's like England has the most like mixed ability teams in the world, 30%.
Yeah.
So that just tells you that the English rugby world with mixed abilities game stronger. We need to join them, every club, country. I'm just
absolutely. So
all I'd say to you is, Chris, and we get this with Gregor every time we talk to him. Listen to him. Listen to the passion in the guy's voice.
Yeah,
that's the same passion we all have for rugby, and it has to be promoted, and it has to be,
Hey, look at Gerald's comment there. Read that if you haven't. Don't believe that. Read that.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe you.
Absolutely. So, Gregor, obviously it's a long time since I've been back home in terms of I left Northern Ireland in 1992. But do we have at Ulster Rugby level or at IRFU level a mixed ability lead, a manager for mixed ability at provincial and or Irish representative level?
Like teams are getting like training. Like I'm going to mention two teams in particular who are going down to Cork.
Yep.
The Main Tornadoes, who I've got connections with in Banbridge, which recently played a game. Just a quick note to those teams, two teams, like they're from here. Like we're going to wish them all good because they're like a good team.
Absolutely. Because I tell you what I said, I was recently at a hotel in Wales, and the mixed ability director of rugby was actually sharing a steam roof with me. I'm not going to go much further than that, but we had a really good chat about his role in stop there, Nigel. It stops there. The times are on. What was really nice was he has been put in place by Welsh Rugby to work with every school, whether they've got SEN, special educational needs, whether they've got PDR, physical disability needs, whatever. And he goes to every school and he puts rugby balls in the hand of every single child across Wales. And that is his job, to get these kids motivated at all ages, and that is definitely what we want. And obviously, there's Choose Phase there. There are 3 teams, across Ireland. So, for me, it's about getting that message out to every single young person, regardless of their well-being and physical needs.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we don't want the same thing happening as we've seen recently, and sadly with the women's game.
Yeah.
Where, and I don't want to see that happen with the mixed abilities. It's got to be promoted from the top down, and it really has to be. And endorsed by the top down. It's all right us all sitting here and it can get guys local games at clubs, but we really need people in IRFU saying, yeah, we need to promote this. People get involved in rugby at all levels, at all abilities, at all ranges, and from then it'll gain some momentum as well. What Gregor saying is absolutely right. I think social media, the papers, it's all part of it, but the union have to get behind it.
Yeah.
And we know Rory Best supports the Portadown Panthers. And does great work with those young people down there. And again, it's like, for me, should Ulster Rugby be almost trying to, I'm not going to say sponsor, that's the wrong word, but should Ulster Rugby and the RFU be looking to some of the legends of the game to become the ambassadors for that club and literally pick that club up?
True. We've got like Hendo in Henderson as ours.
Yeah,
so, like Willie McBride came down to Ballyclare. Look at that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think it was him. Willie John McBride, for one of the British Spoon festivals, came down and had a chat. Being honest, ex-Lion, that's what you need.
Absolutely. And I think that's the sort of thing that all areas of sport should be looking at is putting an allocated ambassador to each club. And there's another thing from Catherine saying that we need that school teachers tell kids they can do it. It is that part, that confidence to participate. Absolutely bang on, Catherine, with you all there, Matt. No doubt. Connor's back in the house.
Connor's back in the house, and only Connor, no other sounds. So Connor, for those of you that don't know who Connor is, and I'm sure most of you do, Connor runs the Four Provinces Supporters Group, of which Gregor is one of the admins as well. And Gregor does an awful lot of work on that. It's a very good group. If you're an Irish fan and you haven't looked at it, look at it. Brilliant group. But I'm going to let Connor explain this. There's no point in me trying to do it. You've recently started, Connor, with the you're going to do a big rollout on promoting clubs, players, coaches, etc. in the mixed ability rugby arena from around the provinces. Do you want to tell the people about that?
Yeah. Thanks, Nigel. How are you, Chris? How are you, Gregor? Okay. Basically, our focus this year is going to be hugely on all forms of inclusive rugby, from your 15-a-side mixed ability rugby to your inclusive tag, VI rugby, visually impaired rugby, and to two forms of wheelchair rugby, or any other form of the sport who wants to reach out to us and help us promote them. And I just need to clarify something there, guys. Mixed ability rugby specifically refers to a form of the game that's quite different from other forms, from inclusive tags, etc. So I've been doing a lot of research on mixed ability rugby recently, and getting to know the personalities involved, the clubs that are involved across the island of Ireland, and there's just so much happening there in this world now. It's a massive year for them too, with IMART, the International Mixed Ability Rugby Tournament, being hosted in Cork in June, and there's 6 teams on the island. For you Ulster guys up there, you have the Malone Tornadoes, and you have the Banbridge Barbarians, and I've been talking to some guys, Sam McBurney and Stewart in Malone, and then you've Raymond Reid over in Banbridge, and they're doing fantastic work. Their teams are going from strength to strength. They'll all be down in Cork this June to compete with 20 it's part of tournament with 24 men's teams, and for the first time ever there's going to be a women's tournament too. It all started down in Cork with a guy called Alan Crockwell, who's the driving force behind mixed ability rugby. So let me just explain mixed ability rugby. Okay, it's 15 aside, it's full contact, it's people of all abilities lining up side by side, playing the same rules of the game as we guys would have played. It's an absolutely fantastic, inspirational community, and I've met some amazing people on the journey, and it's only been short so far. I just read, if you go on to Four Provinces later and look at the post I'm doing, club profiles, I did one on Sunday as well, down in Cork today, and you'll see a story in his own words of the team captain from that side. It's without doubt the best post I've ever read on Facebook. I know that mightn't say much. I know it's a low bar. But occasionally you read something that just leaves you stunned, and that did it for me today. A guy called Richard, who's the captain of that team. Read Richard's story, and you know what I'm talking about. The other forms, Gregor, my friend here beside me, Gregor plays on an inclusive tag team, which is different again. Again, it's for anyone that wants to play, but it'd be the non-contact version of the sport. There's a lot more clubs. I think Leinster alone, I've just been doing a list of people I have to get in contact with from all over the island in the next couple of weeks. There's 12 or 13 clubs up in up in Ulster, there's more in Leinster. It's really getting going, and the other areas of inclusive rugby, of course. We'll cover them all this year, all over the island, including Ulster, and we'll keep you up to date with them.
No, I think it's fantastic. I've read some of the pieces you've put up already. You've been quick off the ball, in fairness to you, Conor. You said you would do it, and you're doing it. And I think it reverts back to what Gregor was saying earlier about what can we do as people on the internet that have these chats and these podcasts. So what can we do to help promote? And I think what you're doing is exactly what Gregor has said, and it's exactly what will help the sport, because it's like anything else. We saw a guy there who said he wasn't even aware of Team Banbridge, and he's from Banbridge. So the awareness is not out there.
Of course, it's raising awareness, and it's connecting these teams with the wider rugby community, with me, with you, with everyone that reads our forums and your group, Chris, all our groups. It's about connecting all them people, and there's thousands of them all over the island and every province. Many of them that aren't aware that these teams are there. They might have a son, a daughter, a nephew, or a niece that's looking for an outlet. Mm-hmm. And the stories you hear from the people that are involved, they're just life-changing. These people might have grown up or never thought there'd be facilities, never thought they'd have that sense of belonging, of being on a team, like
absolutely
with their peers and other people their age and go out competing. These lads are going to Cork in June. They're competing in the World Cup.
Yeah, it's immense. So, Conor, is there going to be any significant media coverage? Is that something that one of the podcast groups is picking up, or is it being picked up by any of the sort of the bigger broadcast networks? Do you know what's happening? Is there anywhere people seeing this stuff down in Cork? What's going on?
The way I look at it is the more we do in our own way, the more we help promote it and get it to more people. That in turn will put pressure on the media, because that's how change is made these days. It starts on social media. Enough people get behind the campaign, then they'll get more coverage. I know that the story behind Cork's coverage of IMART 2022 is it's really been 4 years in the making. They got awarded the hosting of the games in 2018 to give them 2 years to prepare, and then it was cancelled in 2020 and of course, and 2021. And so it's going ahead this June, touch wood. Mm-hmm. And we'll be doing everything we can to support it through the groups and through the Threebod group, through the various shows. Mm-hmm. I was talking to Alan Crockwell this evening. He's director of the tournament. He brought mixed ability rugby to this country, and he's been at the forefront. Quite an incredible man, really. He has a background in working with adults with disabilities, and that inspired him. Mm-hmm. That was his dream, like to have a team to get these involved with other people without disabilities and have them all on the same level. No discrimination, no classification. They're all equal. They all go out together. And the other important thing to note that gets lost in this, and he emphasised it to me and made me sit back and think. It's not about just facilitating the guys with disabilities. It's about me or you. It's about like Sir Nigel going back after not playing for years, or me a few stone overweight looking for a team. Nigel, if we went out playing now, we'd get killed.
Absolutely. I don't even think there'd be a second wind this time, Conor.
It would be just wind. Flatulence, Nigel. It would be flatulence.
I'd have to learn how to lean on the back of a ruck again. But no, seriously, it's about getting a lot of getting men active again. not just men with disabilities, men of all abilities, getting us active again, being part of a team, and finding our own level. Because grassroots rugby is in trouble. You know, it's been dying since I was a young lad, and my local club had 4 or 5 teams, and now they're struggling to put 2 out. You know, and that's a story I hear from all over the island. From Ulster, from Leinster, everywhere is struggling in that regard. So it's rebuilding that rugby community, you know, and it's rebuilding the rugby at grassroots level. That's what it's doing as well.
But it enables aspirations too, though, doesn't it, Conor? I mean, as I say, you know, regardless of ability, you know, people who love a sport aspire to play it. And when we had a very active scene in rugby in Ireland at club level, you know, you maybe weren't good enough for the first, so you played for the seconds, the thirds, the fourth, the fifth, or the sixth, you know, first reserve for the eighths, whatever. But you know, those were aspirations of people who weren't at the top of the game. So it's just extending that, isn't it, wider, so that people who aspire to pick up rugby ball and play it can do it, isn't it? Really, it's as simple as that, isn't it? You know,
rugby was always praised itself for being the game that had a place on the team for everyone, regardless of size or shape or colour of your skin or
your pace or lack of
or anything else. And this for me is like nothing epitomizes the true values of rugby more than mixed ability rugby. Yeah. That's all I can say about it. No, it's about inclusion. It's about belonging. It's about teamwork and discipline and giving your best. All them core values of the sport. But Gregor, I see through the people I've met over the last couple of weeks.
Gregor, you must miss playing though.
Oh, we against the rivals. Rugby's made through friendship, but due to COVID, we can't do that. But now we have to adapt, which we're probably going to have to do if we live it. Then we're not going to know how to score when we do actually get to play matches against other tems.
I expect a hat trick from you in your first game, fella.
I don't think you forget much, Gregor.
No.
I was talking to a friend of yours the other night who referred to you as the Oracle.
Oh, I know who that is. I'm not telling you.
I know. I remember when we first met Gregor actually online, and we all talked about it. So I can't wait to get that guy on again. I mean, that lad knows his rugby. Like he knows his rugby that way, you know. And Gregor, you're always welcome on the show, mate. And Conor occasionally, but more so except the Leinster man, you know.
How did I get in the door?
Actually, Gerald put a link up earlier on, was put up, and a very easy thing to do because Conor and his guys and his team are doing a lot of work to put this together. It's very easy to share a post that's put up. And as I said, guys, if you're an Irish fan and you're frankly into rugby but not to carry on, Four Promises Supporters Group is a really, really good group to discuss rugby. And if you're in that group and you see these posts, share away, because that is, as Conor said and as Gregor said, this is the way we're going to promote the sport and get it out there in the mainstream. And the more people know about it, the more people will be interested in it. So please do that.
If you're reading the club profile and you're hearing a player's story or a coach's story, give them and you feel good about it, give them a bit of positive feedback, because they're going into the changing rooms and they're talking about it. These guys deserve our respect first of all, and their encouragement. A lot of them have a big year ahead of them, big competitions coming up.
For sure.
I think it's brilliant what you're doing, Conor. Well done, mate.
I'm enjoying it. Listen, Nigel. It beats arguing with internet trolls any day of the week. You know,
it's not having a go at me there, is it?
It beats arguing about who's better between Robbie Henshaw and Stuart McCluskey.
Let's put that to bed right now.
I know, and I know, and I get tired of that, mate. That's why when people say to me, but he's better than him with that, and I'm okay with him then. Yeah, I don't care. You know?
Going around in circles.
You do, mate. I know it's terrible. But no, that's fantastic. And listen, thanks very much for coming on and explaining that to us, Connor. And folks, do
absolute pleasure, Nigel.
Do look at it. Do copy the links. Something I haven't done yet, but I've only started reading them, and they are really good pieces, by the way, Connor. They're very informative and they're very well.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more to come, Nigel. We'll be covering every angle of inclusive rugby, and we'll be reaching out to every coach in the country over the next few weeks. Every coach in the island.
Very interesting stuff, mate, and well done, both of you guys. Both of you, well done. Absolutely, hats off to you for that. Yeah. And onwards and upwards.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Connor, thanks, mate. We're going to discuss, guys, the Greg, where's Gregor going to?
Gregor jumped out.
It sounds fun. See
that Tobin fella, Quick discussion on the games that we did have, and we only really had the two, didn't we? Was well, they were good games, the European games. I thought the home game against Saints was tighter than I would have liked, frankly. But in fairness, Saints did come and try and play. But the Clermont game, guys, unbelievable performance by Ulster. I couldn't believe how well they played. I just couldn't believe it. I don't think Clermont believed how well they played.
Yeah, I've got to say the Clermont game. I think that first half was probably amongst the best 40 minutes of rugby that Ulster put together in many a season. And in the second half, Clermont really, really stepped it up, and our defence was just immense under huge pressure. And that seems to have been something that's been a wee bit lackluster at times, at parts of this season. And again, you could argue we should have gone on and led that with by another 20 points. That just didn't happen for whatever reason. But do you know what? Clermont, I think, were gobsmacked at our performance. Absolutely. And the best picture of the day was John O'Gibbs. Mr. I'm going home. I've got nothing to do here. And I tell you what, I don't think it was an Ulsterman in the house had anything but a little grin when he seen the on my face.
Well, Gregor, you must have enjoyed that.
I've been to Clermont to watch them. That's a cauldron, but we beat them.
Yeah, immense. What a place to play rugby, and what a place to come away with a win.
I don't think even Ulster fans thought we were going to win over there. But as you said, Chris, that first half was liquid of syrup milk. Very good, but that first half, as you say, Chris, was unbelievable, and the fact that they were able to kick it up a bit at the end because they were coming back at us,
they were.
But I thought we didn't play as well against Saints at home. I don't think we played with the same intensity.
Well, of course, we lost Sturdy. We lost Klosky quite early, and that was actually really telling because while Stu was on the pitch, we were absolutely dominant at all parts of that play, and Stu was popping up everywhere. And then obviously, we said earlier, Stuart Moore is a different type of player, but the intensity, there was just the confidence dropped. The second go-to man, so all of a sudden, Timony and things were being marked far, far heavier because they could take their eye off they had lost the Stu Klosky mindset. It really changed the dynamic of our game, and that just shows the importance of Stu. But
Stu Klosky attracts 2 or 3 defenders every time.
He has to, doesn't he? Simply has to.
That creates gaps. And if he goes off, then that would,
What about Mcgraw try for the Northampton game? What about that try?
I tell you what, man, I thought that bugger had him, but he got through. But what a step!
His luck was that Hume stayed on his outside to the left. So the fact is, the defender was thinking we're stuffed either way. We have no chance of defeating of not getting this. So it was incredible foresight from Hume to put that ball through McElroy's pace and his almost feint. And his step, and he just gassed. It was a beautiful piece of work. It really, really was. And
he's another lad that's really stepped up this season, and just
oozing confidence. And there's been times you're looking at players going, pass it. But there's some more guys just carrying the confidence that they're like, I've got this and I have got belief in my own ability. And Ethan showed that all day with that particular run-in. So, yeah, well picked up on that there, Gregor, really.
And it came off the back of what you would have to call hot and cold performances, wouldn't it? You know, because we had suffered a heavy defeat against Connacht. Connacht had a plan. Oh, boy, they executed it perfectly, but we didn't turn up and we didn't respond. Yeah. Then we go away and we beat Leinster and we think, right, what happened last week?
Yeah.
And then we go over to the Ospreys and we lose. And we're going, what was that last week? What's that this week?
But the important thing with that, Nigel, is you could almost see cold, hot, and you can sort of see us going the Ospreys doing a job like we did in Leinster at Claremont and then dropping away like a stone against Northampton. And although we could argue that it wasn't quite the same cohesion, it didn't have the same flair, there might have been other factors at play going on, regarding, COVID in the background, or the stadium's very muted at the minute. There's something niggling, and I don't know if it's just lack of confidence in the supporters, but Ravenhill at the minute is not bouncing like it should be. I would expect the evening of Claremont at home in Kingspan / Ravenhill, I expect that might be bouncing.
I agree with you. And obviously Gregor does too.
If it goes ahead.
If it goes ahead, obviously, Gregor. We've decided it's going ahead. You're going to be, Gregor, you're going in at number 12. Nigel's going in outside you at 13. It's going ahead. Mixed Ability Champions Cup. Here we come.
Gregor, it's all on
you. But they're quite right. The uncertainty at the minute is massive. But I honestly believe we need to get Ravenhill / Kingspan bouncing to the proper tune and giving the guys absolute belief that they can take Claremont at home. Because the last time we watched Claremont at home, there was times that evening we were in the memorial stand. The Claremont fans, there was about 50 of them in the bottom left-hand corner of the memorial stand, and they were out singing the 16,000 Ulstermen most of the evening. Their voices were louder than ours, and I have a real problem with that.
They have, but actually the Ulster fans were singing something in between the lines of the Claremont fans. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
That was really funny. Yeah. They were singing their song, and the Ulster fans were singing something in between the next lines.
And it started a wee bit of banter, but for me, I think Kingspan needs to find his voice. And I have no idea what needs to happen to make that happen. But
man needs to speak up, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And
you should be the fans, like telling the fans this. People should listen to you.
Yeah. Get loud.
I mean, that's roar to Kingspan. That's what they need. I'm just being
that's it. But we'll get some noise going next week, Gregor. I can tell you over in Northampton. But the other side of that is that if we think back, let's go to the Jared Payne incident. And the noise that evening in Kingspan. That is the intensity we should be bringing to every match night.
We don't need a red card to do it.
we don't need a red card in the first 4 minutes to get that volume, but we need that intensity.
We need to push on a wee bit, but personally, I mean, Ulster on their day can beat anyone. I think we've seen that, but we just like to see a little bit more level field, level each week.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency. We've got hopefully Munster on Saturday. And how do you guys feel? I actually feel quite confident about it. If we can get a decent team together, we're not going to go down there and be afraid of them, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the key is we said it before the show, didn't we? That Ulster at the minute, even their young guns have put together some stunning performances this year. Mm-hmm. So if Dan decides to go with hold back the big guns for the forthcoming Saints game away and play a slightly less what's the word I'm after? I don't want to undermine the integrity of the squad, but almost a diluted first team. I don't think we've got any real problem with going to Munster and giving them really strong performance. I don't think we're coming away with a 66-0 away. I think the chances are we could come away with a win. It may not be a bonus point win for either side this weekend. I think it'll be very tight, but I think there's every reason of confidence we can take a win.
Catherine's put a post up there the way we were playing. There's nothing to be afraid of, but Catherine, we're on the crest or the dip. Sorry, Gregor.
No, it's like, what was it? Mike Haley's wasted like 10. He was one of those players. He's like, he's not had game time since last week because he was one of those players with South Africa. So it's like, plus like, what was it? One of the ex BT Sport commentator was on a podcast. He said we can win, but it's like, but then Bert Jackman said something like, it just depends what Munster team turn out.
Ulster, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Let's hope both good teams turn out, not or bad Munster. That'll be fine. That's all right. Yeah. Imagine a bad Munster and a bad Ulster turn up. Oh my God, it'd be a bore fest. It'd be like a Welsh derby. Sorry, lads. Wait. Right, okay, guys. So you think we've a chance this weekend if the game goes ahead? Obviously,
definitely a chance for Tom.
Good. I think so as well.
But it will not be. I do not think it'll be a try bonus point win for either side. It will be tight, and it will be 1 or 2 tries each way. That's not going to be a try fest.
Obviously, it's another discussion, and the likes of Catherine and that could probably add into it. I think Van Graan's departure news and what's going on with him at the minute, I don't think is helping the club at all. But that's another discussion. I think probably for a theme thing on Munster. What do Munster do going forward? But because again, they've got players better than their performances. So
going back to Johnny Wappa's comment just now, I think 5,000 at Thomond Park will have a massive impact and will be a benefit to Ulster.
Oh, okay.
Well, it probably will because you won't have the noise because Thomond is noisy.
It is. It's a great place to go, a great audience, a great stadium. So I think that will again have a positive impact on our lads.
True.
Fingers crossed it goes ahead for a start, and fingers crossed we win it. We're getting near the end, lads, so we want to have a quick look towards the Six Nations, which are imminent. Obviously, we can't go into too much detail now because we don't know what way it's going to pan out with COVID, France, with players isolating France, and where the games are going to be played in France. France. But assuming we get a tournament, Ireland have got to be in with a good shout this time round, haven't they, with the style of rugby they're starting to play?
If it goes back to the Autumn Internationals, you would have to say that Ireland are going in there joint favourites, wouldn't
you? Yeah. I love France, maybe, yeah.
France. Yeah, I would say France. The English would say that they're playing particularly well, but I actually think between France and Ireland, those should be the 2 nations that are most likely to come away with the crown this year.
Only thing is our game of France is in Paris, isn't it? Which is
no. France. I fancy France, just saying. France are strong.
I think Ireland or France, Gregor, but I edge towards France because we're playing them in Paris.
Yeah.
My point is everybody in the Irish camp vaccinated, or are there going to be certain players that will not be allowed to play in France?
It depends what the rules are come the time. It might change, because we just don't know. We're sitting here guessing and we don't know.
And Wales announced today they're looking to play their games in England to get players, to get fans into the stadium. So they might be going to Tottenham Hotspur for the Welsh Six Nations. At the minute, they're only allowed 50 fans. So Wales, WRU have already said we will take our rugby to England for our Six Nation games to get stadiums.
Catherine, totally agree with you. I'm not naturally anti-French, but at the moment I'm anti-French because I think they're politicizing. I think they're up to all sorts at the minute.
Oh yeah,
and it's ridiculous. I think the way they're behaving, frankly.
Johnny Walker saying
they didn't learn anything from the UK South Africa experiment when UK blocked travel to South Africa. Realised we have it anyway, so they stopped that.
Yeah.
And then the French actually went the other way and started putting up the borders and you can't do this and you can't do that. But they've got to, but don't forget, there's a presidential election next year too, and the more you look like Napoleon, the more chance you have of getting a vote. But anyway. Hope there's no French people watching. Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Stop it. But we all agree that it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
You know, we all make the jokes about it's a Leinster Invitational, etc. But you know, at the end of the day, we all think we've got players in our squads that probably should be in with the mix, and I think a lot of them will get their chance. Not this time around. I think it will be a Leinster centric team again. But you know, you can't argue with the results that they've shown so far. So you know.
On that note, Nigel, I did put on one of the other podcasts recently from our club. I did ask the guys on that podcast, would the Leinster game and the Connacht game being moved into the Six Nation window be an advantageous opportunity for Ulster, given that we will not have the same representation as Leinster? And actually, if John Cooney doesn't get selected, it's a bonus for us because there is every chance those games are going ahead during that window anyway. So, the Six Nations will have lots of influence.
22 games cancelled in the URC so far across the board. So it's going to be an awful congestion and an awful conundrum to try and get them all played, I think. But we'll see. It's one of those things. I don't know. Sadly, it's just it's all speculative, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, my hope is obviously this wave calms down a bit and we can all move back. You know, by February time, maybe we'll be looking at coming back to some form of normality. I mean, I noticed they're in tests. I mean, they can't get enough tests to test people, and so they're saying all you need is a lateral flow now. And I'm thinking, well, all you need is a lateral flow. What?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll not go into that. But so anyway, we have a good chance that France are the team to beat. I think we're saying,
I think with Dupont steering the ship, they are just immense.
True. Dupont's going to be the key for France.
Yes, absolutely. There's no question.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap this up because we've overstepped our mark.
That's again.
Because we always do. Anyway, fantastic chat. That hour flew by. Thanks very much, guys. Brilliant chat. Gregor, and big thanks to Connor Broomfield of Four Provinces Supporters Group. Please, if you get a chance, go and have a look at the post he's putting up because the information is extremely detailed and extremely interesting. And I think it's something for us all to look at and respond to and support. Because, anybody that wants to play rugby should be able to play rugby, and it's fantastic to see. Guys, thanks very much. And folks, thanks for watching tonight. This has been the Ulster Rugby Crack and Banter Show, Roundup, whatever you want to call it. We're part of the Threebod Rugby Group. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Hellbent and Knaco Biltong, and I am looking forward to getting to the Kingspan to get one of the Hellbent Boer Wars burgers. It'll probably be Shelka van der Merwe serving it again because Louis likes buggering off and doing TV, so he doesn't have to serve burgers.
Morning to Louis.
But guys, pleasure as always. Gregor, great to see you again, mate. And it'll not be long to see you again, I would think. Yeah. And Chris, absolute ball as always, mate.
Oh, great. Lovely to see you guys. Thank you, Gregor. Thank you, Nigel. Yeah. Thank you, Connor.
Until next time,
thank
guys.
You, Dave Toppin.
Yep, and Dave Toppin in the background. What a star. Absolutely. I think Dave will be coming out to the front next time around, so we'll get to see him again because we miss our Dave. And we'll be looking at another show next month. I think it'll be more of a Six Nations preview, but we'll bring the details out near the time. Folks, thanks very much. Thanks for your time. For those of you who watch after, hope you enjoy the show. Leave your comments, leave your ideas, because we want ideas as well, what you like to see on the show. And Happy New Year to all of you, by the way, because I don't think I said that. And we will see you on the next show of Ulster Rugby Roundup. All the best, folks. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.